Welcome back to the BCSN Sportswrap. With us on the Versus Sports Simulator hotline is West Virginia State head coach John Pennington. And for those of you all who did not realize that we have an HBCU in West Virginia, yes, we do. The Yellow Jackets are off to a fantastic 5-1 start. Coach Pennington, since a lot of people are really unfamiliar with you guys because you don't play in one of the 4 traditional HBCU conferences, tell us a little bit about your school and then look more specifically about your program there at West Virginia State.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for having me on. Like I said, we're excited to put our program out there. We've taken some strides here recently, and things are starting to look on the upside. So we appreciate you. West Virginia State University is located just outside of Charleston, West Virginia, which is the capital of West Virginia. So we're about 7 miles outside the capital city, right off the interstate. So we got a great location in between Charleston and Huntington, where we're close to a lot of things. The school is probably most well known recently for our alumni Katherine Johnson, who was the star of the movie Hidden Figures, where the story was about her. She was a graduate of West Virginia State University. We also have one of our alumni, Earl Lloyd, who was the first African-American to play in the NBA. So we have a rich tradition here at West Virginia State University, and one of the main things that we emphasize here is diversity. We are an HBCU located in West Virginia, which is not a lot of minorities here. So it's a really unique environment here at West Virginia State, where we have a lot of guys. You got some guys from all over the country, some guys from West Virginia, and we have such an awesome culture here with people from different backgrounds, and that's one of the things we celebrate here is our diversity. So you're very right to say that we're not your typical HBCU, not in a HBCU conference, located in a small state, but very, very proud of our tradition and our diversity.
And your program, Coach, talk about your football program there. You're in your 3rd year there, if I remember correctly. You were 6-5 over your first 2 campaigns, respectively. And this season, you have jumped out and kind of taken the world by storm, going 5-1 this year. And that one loss was to FCS opponent Southeast Missouri State University. So on the Division II level, you're actually 5-0 and 5-0 in conference. So talk about your program there for a brief moment, Coach.
Well, this like you said, this is my 3rd year as the head coach, but I was here 2 years before that as the offensive coordinator. So kind of got here when the building blocks were laid. We got a brand new football facility right when I got here. With locker room, coaches' offices, weight room, that kind of stuff. So the school started to really invest in football and athletics in particular, and things started to change a little bit. We went from 0-11 to I think it was 5-6, then we went 3-8, and then I took over as the head coach, and we continued to build on what we had started. So it started before I became the head coach, and I was fortunate enough and blessed to become the head coach here in my hometown and start, continuing to build on what we had started originally. So we just kept continuing to build. We had, 2 pretty good seasons considering, our history has not been a winning program, and started to get a culture that was getting used to winning more consistently. And that was the biggest part about that 6-5, the back-to-back 6-5 seasons. It had been a long time since we'd had consecutive winning seasons. But in the off season, and especially during this season, we really challenged our leaders to raise the standard. We want to be an elite football program here. We're not, 6-5 kind of disgusts me and our players. We're not interested in being 6-5, although we're happy with every win we get. We want to be elite, and we want to be a program that is special, that wins championships and develops young men into leaders, and that's really the only thing that's acceptable to us. And so we're not a whole lot better maybe than the past 2 years, but we're a whole lot tougher. We have much better leadership, and our team just does not accept mediocrity. And I think that in the past maybe we did a little bit of that. So we've raised the standard, and we're you're seeing us win a couple more close games than we had in the past, and hopefully we can continue that trend.
Once again, we're joined by West Virginia State head coach John Pennington. And Coach Pennington, if there was one or two things that you could really attribute the jump from a 6-5 season to starting off 5-1, hey, you've got 5 games to go. You one game from tying your previous record at 6-5. What would be those one or two things that you can really say attributed to the increase in success?
I mean, probably the two things are toughness and leadership. Like I said, our team is gritty. They're tough. We don't just talk about being mentally and physically tough. We practice it. We practice mental toughness exercises, meditation, visualization. We're constantly harping on them to be in control of their emotions and, to survive the ups and downs of a football game. You can't worry about the scoreboard or the outcome. You got to focus on the play and have discipline. So we've been just hammering that home for years, and our leaders this year have really started to connect with that. Like I said, then once that got ingrained in our leadership, it started getting filtered out through the program, as well as us bringing in the kind of recruits that already have that kind of mental and physical toughness and that don't just want to win but expect to win. So that change in mindset really has been the ultimate factor in us, taking some steps. But I told the team this yesterday. All we've done is earn 5 wins. We're not, 5-6 season would be extremely disappointing. So we got to earn everything that we do. And 4 of our 5 wins have been comeback wins in the fourth quarter. So we're not exactly blowing anybody out. We got to practice like our hair's on fire and have some urgency and some hunger if we want to continue to celebrate, in the locker room on Saturday.
Speaking of the locker room, you've got a couple of outstanding players in that particular locker room, and I'm going to ask you about a couple of them. Let's start off with junior linebacker Dustin Krauser, 6'2", 230 pounds from Cross Lanes, West Virginia. By the way, he is the BCSN current defensive player of the week. So kudos to him with his 13 tackle performance and 1 forced fumble against Fairmont State. But just talk about this young man, his character and what he's been able to bring to your program.
Well, I've known Dustin a long time. He went to the same high school I did here in Charleston, right near West Virginia State. So he's a hometown guy. Bounced around a little bit, went to Division I for a little while, then took a break, and then once he started to see our program turn around, he decided he wanted to be a part of that. And ever since he's been here, his work ethic, and not only his work ethic, but his consistency in his work ethic. For years, he's been putting in the work, getting his body back to being in football playing shape. Last year had a decent year, but not exactly up to his standards, and all he did was continue to work even harder, more and just as consistent. And he brought that to our team, that consistent hard work. You can see it paying off on Saturdays. And he's a very physical linebacker, big, strong. Looks like a linebacker, plays like a linebacker, and just his physicality, his mindset toward the game has such an effect on our locker room. And I was kind of impressed because he wasn't really a vocal guy. Wasn't a guy that I would consider one of our main leaders early on, but this season, and a little bit in the summer, really took on that role, and our team voted him a captain, which meant a lot to him, and he's carried that torch with pride, and it shows every single Saturday. I mean, it's just all in the way he prepares. You see him prepare every week, and it's awesome to watch the fruit of his labor come out on Saturday.
All right, and then on the offensive side of the ball, you've got a quarterback by the name of Austin Hensley, 6'1", 210 senior from Hurricane, West Virginia. And I'll be honest with you, be it not for Jerome Johnson down at Bowie State, Austin would have received my vote for Offensive Player of the Week for the Black College Sports Network. But this past game against Fairmont State, he was 28 for 38, did throw 1 interception, but an astounding 73.7 completion percentage for 414 yards. Just talk about this young man and what he's able to bring to your offense.
Well, similar story to Dustin Krauser, local guy, right around here. went on to West Virginia University, then transferred to West Virginia State. And, what's kind of great about Austin is, he played a little bit as a sophomore, had a season-ending injury. He was our starter and our leader last year. First game of the year, breaks his foot, done for the season, and decides to come back for his senior year after 2 season-ending injuries. And so his resilience, you can see it in our team, in our offense. They've kind of taken on his personality. He's definitely the leader of the program and does a great job, leading our guys. But just his toughness and resilience is what impresses me. Coming back from injury, how he battles every week. He's such an intense competitor. And, he had a tough game the week before to his standard. Still played well, but to his standard, he didn't play what he thought he was capable of playing. Really, rededicated himself to the little things in practice and came out there and I've never seen a quarterback play that well in a football game. 6 touchdowns, had 3 touchdowns on 2-minute drives, and 2 of them that, were game-winning type drives to, for us to get that win on the road. Was just an unbelievable performance by the quarterback. So, he is our leader, and he acted like it, not only in how he led our guys, but how he performed on the field. And that's not an easy thing to do, when you are the leader of the program like that.
And 2 of the people receiving a lot of those passes from Mr. Hensley are Zach Pate and A.J. Barrett, 2 outstanding wide receivers that you have for your team there. Zach Pate is a 5'8", 175-pound senior from Hurricane, West Virginia. And excuse me just a second. I lost my place where I had my stats at. And Mr. Barrett himself is a 6'2", 215-pound senior from Charlotte, North Carolina. Just talk about these 2 guys being out there on the whereas wide, just catching the ball and being able to put up the type of statistics that they'll be able to put up to help your offense, Coach.
Well, they're both seniors, and I think AJ, he came in, he started as a true freshman, so this is his 4th year as a starter. So he's very familiar with, obviously the offense, with myself, with Austin. They've played together for 3 years. So they have quite a connection out on that football field. And AJ is a guy that's just progressively gotten better and better. He is our energy guy not only on the offense but for the entire team. His energy is infectious. He's such a positive guy and always excited to play football. And I think that has such a huge effect on our team. His contagious energy, being excited to be out there every day. And, AJ's had 2 fourth-down conversions with the game on the line and then 2 game-winning touchdown catches. So when the game's on the line, he's making big plays. We're spreading the ball out to everybody. There's no complaints out of him. He just runs his routes and blocks and does what he's supposed to do. So that's been such an awesome thing to watch him mature. Really, really proud of him. And then Zach Pate is also a senior, and Zach and Austin were high school teammates, middle school teammates. So their connection is, they have an incredible connection on that field that. Sometimes Zach's not open, but Austin can throw it exactly where he knows Zach will be, and or sometimes they just break before the ball's thrown. They both know where they're supposed to be, and it's been fun to watch those 2 connect every single week. And Zach, I guess 5'8" probably being pretty generous. He's not the tallest guy, but he's tough. He gets open. He's a Wes Welker type and very electric on the football field. He's really fun to watch, him and AJ both. But AJ is more of our stretch the field kind of guy, and Zach's more of that underneath the coverage kind of guy. But they're both just making incredible plays, seniors, and they're leading the right way. And that's like I said, one of the main things for our program's turnaround has been our leadership. And those are 4 guys you just mentioned that have really taken the torch and run with it.
Once again, we're joined by West Virginia State University head coach John Pennington. And, Coach, the Yellow Jackets compete in the Mountain East Conference. We did say that they do not compete in one of the traditional 4 HBCU conferences, which is why a lot of us, especially down here in the South, have not heard of you or realized that you were at HBCU. But just kind of talk about your conference in general, and I guess for you, seems like the lack of respect that you're getting from the pollsters right now. You know, you've got a team in your conference, Notre Dame of Ohio, not the Fighting Irish that most of us know about, but another traditional football power on the Division II level, Notre Dame, that's garnering a lot of votes in the Division II polls. And a team that you're chasing, you're a half game behind them in the conference standings. But kind of talk about your conference in general, Coach.
Well, I think the main thing about this conference is the parity. I mean, every week, you know, there's not a lot of difference between teams in this conference. You know, other than Notre Dame, who's, you know, number 5 in the country, went to the Final Four last year. I think they're a notch above, you know, most of the teams in our conference. But everybody else is really close. I mean, we played Concord University, who's 0-6, and had to come back in the fourth quarter to win. And it wasn't like we didn't play our best game by any means, but we didn't lay an egg. I mean, they were a good football team. And last week, Fairmont State they're 1-5 now, but they were probably the most talented team we saw all year, other than the FCS team. So, you know, the talent level, there's not a lot of difference. That's why our message has been we got to be tough, because we're going to have to win a lot of close games in this conference. You know, but each week you're going to get an exciting game. I think that's what's great for our fans. And you know, maybe I know a lot of people have been complaining to me about our fourth quarters, how tight it's been, you know, the stress that it involves. But honestly, those are the most fun games. And you know, we feel like our advantage is our mental and physical toughness and our conditioning. So we feel like in the fourth quarter, we know if we're close, we're going to have a good chance to win. And so for us, it's kind of just what it happens every week, and that's a testament to our conference. And I think over the 6 years, our conference has won the region 4 out of 6 years, and with 3 different teams. So that just shows you that not only is our conference really good, but there's 3 out of 3 different teams winning our region every year. So you know, our conference doesn't get a lot of respect, I guess, compared to the other regional conferences, but we're the ones winning it every year. So you know, hopefully that trend continues. But as far as for us, you know, we don't care what our record is. We're not concerned about any rankings, any statistics. It's just, you know, we want to be an elite football team. That's the standard. And, you know, it doesn't matter what happens this Saturday or next Saturday. Are we doing things that are elite? Are we practicing at elite level? We have elite focus, effort. Are we going to class? Are we going to study hall? Are we on time for things? You know, we have to do the things that champions do, and then we'll become champions. It doesn't work the other way around, and that's been our message, this entire season, and that won't change, based on anything that happens over the next 5 weeks.
All right, and speaking of rankings, I know coaches don't like to look at rankings, but it's my job to put some of those rankings out. Currently, you did not receive a vote in the top 25 nationally. Regional rankings have not been released for this year as of yet. As far as on the HBCU side of things, our partners over at Versus Sports Simulator and ComputerRatings.com actually have you as the highest rated HBCU in Division II football, rated ahead of Bowie State and Virginia Union out of the CIAA. And in our own Black College Sports Network poll, you guys are currently sitting at number 4. So just want to throw those out there to you, give you some motivation, hopefully that you can get into the regional rankings. And I know you're not looking too far down the line at playoffs, Coach, but it has to be in the back of your mind. You want to talk about that?
Well, I mean, every year, we expect to win. We expect to win a championship. We expect to go to the playoffs. And, I've been in the playoffs before, so, I understand, how it works and how tough it is in Division II with no bye weeks, to make a run at things. So, we're constantly just trying to, not only prepare for the week ahead, but we know that we expect to win every week, and that's just kind of our expectation. But, not to sound too much like a coach, but our focus is, once again, just that standard of excellence. And, at the end of the day, if we take care of business and we're an elite football team day in, day out, then at the end of the year we'll be where we want to be. So we can't let the I tell our team all the time, detach from the result. Detach from the result. Don't whether it's a play or a game or a drive, don't get caught up in the result. Continue to try and be elite in everything that you do, and the result will take care of itself. So that's got to be our focus. And I think the more we win, the more the more rankings, the more of those things will come. And the only way to win more is to be prepared and focused and locked into our process. So we're excited that good things are happening here at State, but we expected that. And if we want to keep it going and we want to be where we want to be at the end of the year, it's going to come down to how we perform every day in, day out with our discipline and our day-to-day discipline. So that's our number one focus right now.
Yeah, you mentioned no bye weeks. One thing that we noticed early this year is that most Division II teams did not have a bye weeks built into their schedule this particular year. Plus, in addition, your conference is one of the few conferences out there that actually plays a true round robin where everybody does play everybody. So you have a true conference champion in your particular conference. But talk about that no bye week, because in order to get to the championship game, that's going to be 15, 16 consecutive weeks of football. Just the mental grind, the physical grind of having to make that type of run, Coach.
Well, I think that's one of my jobs as a head coach is to make sure that our team is hungry every week. And when you don't have a bye, you got to find little ways to give them breaks. For example, we normally lift on Wednesday morning. We gave them this morning off just to let them rest their minds and their bodies. And at some point during the year, we'll probably give them an extra day off, an extra Sunday or Monday somewhere, just so they can be mentally and physically rested, because it is a grind. But our challenge to our guys and the kind of players we try and recruit here are guys that love the grind. When you say 15, 16 straight weeks of football, that kind of gets me excited. It's like, what's better than that? I mean, football season is the best season. We love football season. We love football, and we love the grind. But at some point, it does take its toll, and that's my job as a head coach, to recognize when our team needs a little bit of a break so they can be rested and play to their potential. So sometimes less is more, and that's kind of the approach we took today. And you can see that a lot of close games was had I don't want to say taking a toll on our team, but we didn't practice with the same hunger that I was looking for. And I met with our leaders, and they said they'd like to have a morning off, and that's just another testament to our leadership that we have a great relationship, and we meet bi-weekly, so I can have a good feel for what the team's going through and what's going on in that locker room, and so that's we work together to try and make sure that that everybody's ready on Saturday, coaches and players included.
All right. Excuse me. Looking ahead to the remainder of the season, we've got 5 weeks remaining. 3 of the 5 opponents that you have remaining are above 500. 3 of those, 2 of those opponents are directly behind you in the standings, Urbana University of Ohio and the University of Charleston. And to end the season in what could be the potential conference championship matchup, you have Notre Dame College, who you trail by a half of game in the standings right now because they've played 1 additional conference game than you have. Now, I'm not going to ask you to look ahead through all the games, the remaining 5 games, but I am going to ask you about this particular weekend at Urbana University. Just give us a little bit of a preview with that without giving too much of your game plan away for this particular weekend.
Well, one thing with Urbana is every year it's come down to the end that we've played them. They beat us on a 2-point conversion at home 2 years ago. We beat them on the road last minute with a blocked punt last year. So it's been an exciting game every year, and they're more talented than they were last year. I think we are as well. So, you're looking at 2 teams that are headed on a similar path that are about to butt heads on Saturday, and that's exciting. It's exciting for our fans, our players, to play. That's one of the things we want our guys to be able to play in big-time games and big-time environments with everything on the line. I mean, that's why football is such a great sport, and we get to have that opportunity this Saturday. So, Urbana is their offense. They got a great quarterback. They got a great running back. They got receivers that can catch the ball. O-line that's been running the ball all year. and their defense, most of the guys in their defense have started for 2, 3, or 4 years. So very experienced on defense. We're very familiar with each other. So it's going to be a dogfight, a slugfest, however you want to put it. And it's going to come down the wire again. So, that's why we can't look ahead to anybody, because every single one of our games comes down to the end. So we got to make sure that every detail is covered. And, I think Urbana is a very good football team. I feel like we're looking in the mirror a little bit. A team that's trying to get to the top of the conference, that's fighting and has enough talent to do it. So we'll find out on Saturday which team really wants to take that step.
And just give a little bit of history about this matchup. These two teams have split their last 6 matchups, with the odd statistic of the road team winning each time over the last 6 years. So hopefully, Coach, for your sake, that game's at home. Hopefully you can dispel that curse and get a home victory in this particular game.
Yeah, like I said, it's every year, and even though the road team's winning, just the games are just so close. They're all. Last year we had to block a punt and fake a punt to win. And then the year before we were up, I think 20-some points in the fourth quarter. They came back, went and not only did they go, instead of tying it up, they went for 2 for the win and got it on our senior day. And so it's just going to be one of those games. And luckily we're pretty familiar with those, so we're confident. That if we get another fourth quarter game, that we're going to be able to go get the win. But it's going to be an exciting one. I think anyone that has a chance should watch it, because it'll be exciting to watch.
And speaking of watching that game will be available on Mountain East TV on the internet if you are interested in watching the West Virginia State Yellow Jackets. Before we get out of here, Coach, I just wanted to wish you good luck on the remainder of the season. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to talk again at some point in time this season. Hopefully we'll be talking to you in the playoffs for your sake. But is there anything that you would like to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, just grateful for the opportunity to talk about our program and for what you're doing for HBCUs across the country. I mean, it's just we don't get a whole lot of exposure, and our guys work extremely hard, just as hard as anyone at the Division I level. So really appreciate what you're doing, and hope that your efforts continue and you're able to get more and more stuff out there about HBCU football programs. And then don't forget about West Virginia State, because we're an up-and-coming program, and just don't happen to be in your typical HBCU conference. So very grateful for you and what you're doing. And
we at the Black College Sports Network, we thank you for those compliments. And for my colleague Brian Fulford, producer Roy Evans, this is A.D. Drew, and we'd like to thank Coach Pennington for joining us.